Hey everybody, my name is Ryan McMurphy, and I am a pastoral intern here at the Tabernacle and Tualatin Church. I wanted to do a video series where we would touch on the very basic elements of Christianity. A lot of the time we just sort of step into the Christian experience and just start doing and saying and believing all the things that are normative. But sometimes some of the smaller details can be lost on us. Or somebody who's especially new to the game, they won't have all the same tools to start dissecting the ideas that are put forward, whether in a conversation or in a sermon or any other kind of interaction you have with religious material. So this sort of format, Biblical Basics, is going to be to try and equip people with the tools they need to step into this experience that we all share. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what is the Bible? It's one of the world's best-selling books. It's in many of people's homes. A lot of books are written about it and movies. But what exactly is in between those two covers that sits on so many people's shelves? What I would like to put forward is that fundamentally the Bible, it tells a story. And just like any story we may be familiar with, whether in books and movies, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. A section where the hero's world is undisturbed and everything is pure and good, but something comes in and disrupts that kind of flow. Conflict is introduced. And then, over a course of many different actions, whether it's a long story or a short story, there's resolution. There's a restoration of things as they were in the beginning. And that's the kind of format that we see in the Bible. If you open up in Genesis, it starts with a garden where there's no pain, no suffering, no death. And if you flip over to Revelation, it ends in a kind of garden where there's no suffering, no sin, no death. And the story that we're all living takes place in between those two books, in the very middle of those two cover pages. Now, for any story, you need to understand the characters that make it up. One of the biggest characters, one of the most important characters, is God, who makes everything. Not only the world, but the people who inhabit the world. Then you have people. Those who actually make up the world you and I know. You're a person and I'm a person. If you're able to click on this and are watching this, well then you're a part of the group. The third character that we get introduced is Satan, and his basic purpose is to serve as the antagonist. He's the person that initiates the kind of conflict that takes place. The sort of flow of events in the Bible is mankind is created perfect, but we fall away from God. And then there's just the long relationship between God and his people trying to restore things to the way they were. The Bible can be dissected or even bisected into two parts. There's the Old Testament and the New Testament. And the word testament, it's not widely used these days. It's not normative. So all you really have to understand for its meaning is that it just means it's like a deal or an agreement or a covenant. There's the old deal God had with his people in the first half of the Bible, and then there's the new deal God sort of drafts up and enacts in the second half of the Bible. The Old Testament mainly follows the Jewish people who are selected to be God's ambassadors for the rest of the world. The contents of the Old Testament, it's historical accounts, it's stories, it's wise sayings, it's poems, it's songs, it's a whole collection, it's a whole variety of literature genres. And all of those things sort of make up the overarching narrative of the Old Testament. Now in the New Testament, it's mostly known for the 4 gospel accounts of Jesus' life, eyewitness accounts of what took place, and then them writing and transcribing and sharing that. Then a very large swath of it is letters from church leaders, mostly from Paul, which mostly deal with teaching, preaching, and correcting the behavior of the early churches. At the end of the New Testament, we get to see the book of the revelation of Jesus Christ, and it sort of gives us a window to the closing of this story, like we talked about earlier. In closing, if I were to summarize the Bible, it's the story of God's relationship to humanity and the ebb and flow that that relationship takes on the path to restoration. In a nutshell, that's what the Bible is.